simplistic humanitarian basis, an interpretation of something that is outward and zahir, that a person comes, I'm praying, and he asks for something, and I just listened to him, I said, okay, take it. I mean, this itself is how obsessed with prayers, how people are obsessed with amal, how people are like, I'm praying right now, so don't disturb me, there's some type of obsession about the act. But what Ali did, he heard the sigh, he just gives us he answers his call, even while praying. This itself is amazing. This methodology itself is great. It's strange. One would say that, how can he do that? If one is obsessed with salah, one is saying that no, he was praying and that's a disturbance. How come he paid attention to that? But when one analyzes it, the act itself, and the goodness of the act itself, one will be amazed. That it really takes a man of an insight to behave in that fashion. That a person who was in need comes and he answers his need, regardless whether I'm praying or not. Is there any difference in that? Is there any difference in my ibadat that I'm doing, the salat, the zikr, and at the same time, the infaq that I'm doing? Isn't it salat and zakat always together in the Quran? They are always one after the other. So there isn't any difference in that. Why can I not do that? So this, it takes an insight of that person, of a man, to really think in that manner, in that fashion, which itself is ijtihad in a way. I mean, it was never seen that anybody while praying doing khairat. I mean, probably it could be from here that, later when one looks into jurisprudence, one would say that, okay, while you are praying, if you want to save someone's life, you can break your prayers, and the things that follows after that. But prior to that, maybe it wasn't really, people have thought about it. So it's a new invention within itself. I mean, not by the Prophet, but by Amirul Mu'mineen. To the extent where it was this act, where it was regarded, or where it was answered or rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where this verse comes right after his action. So this clearly proves that his action was well accepted by God. This verse becomes, this becomes the verse and becomes part of the Quran. Quran that is eternal, the Quran that will remain. So obviously the act of Amirul Mu'mineen remains and becomes eternal. So therefore, why not be the case where we read or hear the hadith, Kalimatul la ilaha illallah isni faman dakhala isni amana min azabi, that the pronouncement or the kalama of la ilaha illallah is considered to be a fort. And whoever enters this fort, he's been protected from the azab. On this, we have the parallel hadith that wilayat Ali ibn Abi Talib hisni. Faman dakhala hisni amana min azab. The wilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen is considered to be that fort, and whoever enters, he's protected from the hellfire. Because the wilayat of Ali and the kalimat of la ilaha illallah, there isn't any difference. The act of Ali, the wilayat of Ali, is taking the creation towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's taking the creation or protecting creation from the azab of ilahi. That's what it is. So therefore, wilayat is a phenomena where one focuses upon and try to investigate the currents or the leaderships during the lifetime of the Prophet or after the life of the Prophet, one would undoubtedly say that it could be no one but Ali ibn Abi Talib. I mean, it's on a very practical grounds, on a methodology that is, historians use, completely not being influenced by the morality of Ali, or to be influenced by the traditions of the Arabs. I mean, Ali was like that. And it's just an incident, but where one looks into the whole life of Amir al-Mu'minin, one would find that. There are many great scholars who are amazed with the personality of Amir al-Mu'minin, with what they have known from Amir al-Mu'minin. For example, Kulaini was one of the greatest scholars who have compiled. After mentioning the khutbah of Amir al-Mu'minin on Tawheed, he says, if all of the khutbat, sermons, sayings of Anbiya and Awliya placed next to the khutbah of Amir al-Mu'minin, one would definitely say that it is impossible to bring alike. The way it is impossible to bring alike of the Quran, in that manner, this is his very scholarly approach to the khutbah. He's paying attention to the eloquency, where he's paying attention to the knowledge that is inside the khutbah, condensed in the way it has been formatted. So he says that it is, impossible that one could really bring a parallel to this khutbah, the way it is for the Quran. Ibn Hadid al-Mu'tazili, the great Sunni scholar, who have written the commentary on Nahj al-Balagha, he says that the way one throws oneself in prostration by reciting certain verses of the Quran, in that like manner, one will throw oneself into prostration after reciting that. It's really amazing that how Hazrat Amir wrote, and what he wrote. I mean, it's a miracle in itself, where, person who is not from his creed, a scholar in full right, Ibn Hadid, he's saying that he's raising the Kamal of Amir to that extent, where he's comparing really with the Quran. And here it was asked to Allah Ta'ala that, how come Ibn Hadid mentioned this? Do you have any insight to his thought? He says that what Amir have mentioned is nothing but about the sovereignty of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala himself, about Allah. And the verses of the Quran is talking about the same thing. So why not be the case? It is the greatness of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And one would say here that the great madh, the great of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, through the Quran, through the language, through the passion of Allah himself. Why be it? Another Sunni scholar, known in the West, who was the champion of peripatetic philosophy. He says that all of the ashab, those who were living at the time of the Prophet, they were all considered to be his seed, meaning that from ihsas, from your emotional point of view, they were emotional. But compared to this, there was one Sahabi who was considered to be aql, and that was no one but Ali. And it is through aql the hiss realizes. It is through aql that the hiss is guided. The sense perception is guided through aql, is through intellect. The sense perception understand what it is sensing through the intellect. I mean, I will be touching, something that is, how shall I say, very soft,